Hey guys, welcome back out in the garage. I want to talk a little bit about surfacing an intake manifold on the 530. This is a very old piece of equipment right here. Still works good. Finished both sides already. And now I'm doing the carburetor pad. Okay, I want to go ahead and put a nice finish on that too. But what I want to talk about is the setup with the tool I was using in between these bridge clamps, okay, which was this guy here. All right, I know it's not an awesome looking tool, but made this back in the mid 90s, and I don't know how many intakes I've done with it since the mid 90s. But basically, I was asked on one of the comments, to tell more about it. Okay, so basically, it's just angle iron, okay, but you can see it's doubled up. All right, I don't know if you can see it in there or not. I'll just turn it like this, but it's actually angle iron laid in angle iron, so it's real stout. Welded it up. Of course, the ends is pretty. You kind of figure out how, any way you want to do that. You can probably put a different kind of pads on the end. This is all what we came up with back then, what we had, okay, just kind of laying around. So we just welded those on. And actually, I like using the bridge clamps on these more than the block plates. I originally was using the block plates, kind of pushing together, but it kind of like wanted to bend these a little bit because it wasn't touching the actual bar here. It was more touching here. It was kind of pushing them in, so I didn't like that. I did do a couple that way to see what happened, but it wasn't really ideal. Okay. Then basically this part is pretty explanatory. You just kind of weld you up something for the carb pad to bolt to, and you'll notice if this is sitting in the machine like this, that carb pad is not flat, of course, it's tilted. And the way we came up with that was kind of a weird deal. I run a lot of strip dominators, okay? And I still run them today, and I ran a bunch of them back then. Well, I shouldn't say a bunch of them, I kept running, only had a few of them, but we set this up to run, to surface the strip dominator. Okay, because I ran that strip dominator on tall decks as well. The same one. I ran on a whole bunch of different combinations. Some of the decks were cut at least 100 thousandths to 120. So I ended up with one intake cutting a whole bunch off. This thing's actually kind of heavy, so I'm out of breath. So we set it up for the strip dominator, but then over time, as I started doing other ones, it actually was okay where it's sitting, okay? But if the surface or this deck area here, it's gotta be flat on the table. If it was off just a little bit, you can actually shim one side or the other, whichever side you're working with. You just shim it, which is gonna tilt the intake, okay? And that's what I did, and I didn't say anything about it, didn't think about it when I was doing these sides here, okay? And now, of course, I'm doing the carburetor pad now with it. I don't have it running only because I was trying, I don't know how loud it was gonna be, because I want to explain this thing first, okay? So hopefully all that made sense. And this is pretty stout, okay? And it does seem like a lot of intakes will vibrate because that's only in the middle. And if you get one that seems like it wants to vibrate, you can actually put bracing off of that bar, like off of the bar there, and onto the runner areas, or pack, or you can stuff maybe some kind of styrofoam, and it'll take the vibration right out, because that's how I've done it in the past. This intake here is pretty thick, because it wasn't really, they all feel like they have a little vibration. I should say they never vibrate, but it wasn't enough to affect this, okay? but you do have some air gaps and some other intakes that are not as, let's say, as beefy, and they may want to, you know, because that's in the center. So you can just put little, when you make yours, if you make one of these, you might be able to make little hangers, like a little bars coming off that swivel or something. I've always thought about doing that, but I never did. You know, and then you can just, like turnbuckles, so you can just turn it down to the runner and then twist them until you get just the pressure you want to take that out, okay? You can do stuff like that. So anyway, so this is how I set up to do the carburetor pad. It's just the way you see it here. I don't know if you can even see it from there. Let me see. Yeah, I guess you can. It's just, you know, it's basically pinched in between the bridge clamps. Then, let's go ahead and let me see. There we go. And it's the same basic deal. Turn it on. Go till it touches. Read your number. Check this in, go till it touch. Okay, see what the number is. Then add, go back to that number. Then add whatever you want to do for your cut. Start it, let it rip. Another thing I do, I should have mentioned, is I use a wire brush and I touch the wheel with it like this to knock off any aluminum that might stick to the broach. We used to use like soap, you know, bar soap. We used to stick on there and let it cut the soap. We used to use WD-40 over the years, but I found that WD-40 actually makes it stick to the broach cutters. And then the soap, the soap was just throwing, you're chunking soap everywhere. I found out years ago, I hang this up over there, and basically, I would do it when it's back here though, okay, before it actually starts to hit. I would touch that and knock all the aluminum that might be stuck on the blade. Kind of show you on this one. And if I'm making another cut, I don't even lower it. I just go ahead and run it back. Okay, you can add whatever you're going to add. See, and then I touch it back. I do it back here. Not that long there like that. I also started messing with the exhaust side using these tongues. It's another video I'm going to be bringing up. I'm going to be doing some stuff, and then basically the tongues will be placed in like that. And we're going to see what actually happens on the flow bench. Which a flow bench you can find stuff like that, but of course the actual way, the real test is in the vehicle itself. But that'll be coming up sometime there. And we can you get a mirror easier since it's upside down versus the more modern stuff. Then you wait for my little light to come on. It takes a minute, it takes a second. It likes to mess with me. As soon as it comes on, there it goes. And basically you can check no, it's not going to. I don't know if I can get in there or not, can I? There we go. Look at that. Oh, you can see the crack on my mirror. That's 7 years bad luck. All right. So that's that. Actually, it looked like it was pretty clean. I might make one light pass because I had backed it up. On my very, very last pass, I won't back it up without lowering it a little bit because you always might drag the stuff back. But I figure as long as I'm making forward passes, I don't mess with the dial. But I'll make one more light pass and then lower it and then back it up. So anyway, there you go. That's how it's done. I don't know. These old machines, I think, still do a good job. It's just all in the way you do it. Okay. So anyway, there you go. So as always, be safe out there, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks, guys.